everybody. Welcome to Living Out Loud. I'm your host, Jen Cusumano, and welcome to my second episode, or perhaps we should more aptly title this segment number 1 of something I'm going to call Going Within Wednesdays. I hope you enjoy. I hope this Wednesday, May 6th, is finding you well. It is 11:30 a.m. and I am currently on my way to have lunch with my foster family, my foster parents. They're like my god family now. So as I drive along here, I just wanted to write my intro or speak my intro for this little bit that I may end up making into a mini episode or basically a voice note reflection on what it is I'm chewing over this week. And so the Going Within Wednesday topic this week is something, a prompt that ChatGPT gave me for my specific native, my medicine wheel placements from a reading that I did manually from a book and cards that I own. And I offer this reading with clients and friends. And this reading is something I did for a close friend recently, and then I did for another friend who had misplaced her cards, but felt very much inclined to pull new cards. At any rate, it's a beautiful reading, and this reading, I wrote down the different placements, my different animals, and what placements they had on the spread for this medicine wheel reading. And it's kind of ingenious, and when I do so, I input it into ChatGPT and ask it to flesh out like what we can glean from our lives and live our lives more aligned with that medicine. And so this is one of the prompts that it gave. Morning, Hawk, 2 minutes of what the big picture is. What's true for me today? I'm passionate about diving deep on self-inquiry, reflecting light and truth to others, and holding reflective space for others so that they can do that inner work themselves. I feel not even useful, but I feel that I am following my purpose when I use my gifts of reasoning and my wisdom and my intuition, whatever my strengths are, and am using them to support my closest dear ones and supporting community around me, supporting my sisters and my tribe and soul family, helping anchor the light. These are things that are true for me. I love to speak from what I know. I just love to, I could ramble on and talk for, untold amounts of time on what I'm passionate about. And a reason this hits hard for me right now is because so much light is being directly shed on these truths that I've just shared, and that I have kept myself small, hidden, and I've repressed a lot because those were things I learned to survive. 144 a moment ago when I looked down. Those things kept me safe and helped me survive, but I've outgrown them, and I need to choose differently now since I'm outgrowing them. I'm choosing differently because life is asking that of me. God is asking that of me. My callings are asking that of me, to release that which is no longer serving me, and that which kept me safe and has kept me feeling, more comfortable and at ease. Some of those things have kept me too small, and that's why I felt this pressure cooker feeling. That is why I felt stuff, that's why stuff has been bubbling up inside me over this past year,
honestly in recent years, but specifically probably the past um, 6 to 9 months, in the past, like since 2024, the end of 2024 onward. Honestly, yeah, the past 2 years in a nutshell. Sorry, my autism brain likes specificity, and it matters in my brain to be clear and to know it for my own self that what I'm saying is true and for it to make sense in my mind. So sometimes I get a little zoned in on those specifics, and I apologize if that's kind of a drag to listen to. I hope you can understand where I'm coming from, though. Um, Singing, doing what makes my heart sing, and unleashing my creative expression because it's not something that was ever really encouraged in me or celebrated, and it's something I've always loved. And I mean, I know my parents loved me, and I'm sure they liked it when I did well, and it made them feel good to know when I was doing well, but I wasn't really given that encouragement or that, I'm so proud of you. Look at what you've done. Oh, this is beautiful. You want to do more of this? We can get you art supplies. I guess I just wasn't given what I probably truly needed to thrive, but that's just the journey I'm on. I went through what I did because of what my parents had at their disposal, and they basically gave me the best they could based on where they were at as the days in their lives went on. And they couldn't give me what they weren't given themselves. They couldn't provide for me what they never were given. And I think a lot of people don't understand that. Um, some people learn how to be based on like what they didn't get. They then um endeavor to not be like that guardian or that person in their life or that parent that didn't do X, Y, or Z. They purposely are like, I'm never going to be that way. But that's not always easy for everyone to do. For some people, it requires a lot of like crashing and burning or hitting some sort of emotional bottom, or making choices in life that um taught you a lot along the way. You have to kind of choose the unhealthy things in order to see what doesn't work, right? So anyhow, as I'm speaking to you now, my hand is on my chest, and I'm just feeling into what it is I'm wanting to share. I'm excited to be beginning this journey, and I'm thankful for anyone who chooses to follow along on this journey with me. It is a journey of discovery, experimentation, self-expression, reflection, inquiry, and um, truth, and just beingness, authenticity, being willing to be that which I am and to share it and express it to the world freely. I don't know if I've articulated it enough, but people with autism and who have complex trauma and rejection sensitivity, I've got all of those, and those have limited my expression. Those have limited what I've been comfortable or felt safe doing in the world. It has largely made me a hermit in recent years, and in many regards, it's worked. It's been what was necessary. It, like, I am someone so hypersensitive to stimuli and the emotions and energies of others. All of my sensitivities and trauma and what I've been through has, again, I've been a bubble person. I've been told many times over the years, get out of your box. I think people knew it could, or could see it just by, having interactions with me, coworkers, people along my journey. Get out of that box, Jen. Get out of your box. And I guess I I don't know, I guess I heard what they were saying, but I think you have to get to a place where you're ready and where you're jumping off that ledge, you're like, okay, I've got my wings, I've got my paraglider, I'm ready to do this, I'm strapped in, let's do this, I'm supported, I'm protected. It's like it's it's something even in like a song I wrote for my BTS band member Bias Yoongi. I wrote a song for him And I might share that on here actually, or sing it, or share the clip, or read some of it aloud, some of the lyrics, because it's very reflective on how he's been a mirror to me in my life. And so, if anything, if you can get anything from this podcast and the things that I express to you, I hope that I can be a mirror to you and a comfort to you and help you on your journey of growth and expression. A little backstory, astrological, and a little about me tidbit that will help you kind of understand my energy or where I'm coming from and my approach a little more. In November 20, it was like late October 2024, heard a podcast, or I heard a YouTube video talk about switching to sidereal astrology, or someone who was expressing how sidereal astrology, switching to that made a difference in their life. And I just felt so inspired by it that I began studying and, following sidereal instead of, I just made the official switch. It felt like it was time for me. And so November onward, I just began listening to those forecasts for the sidereal astrology, and following. Gosh, my nose is running. I'm sorry. I was just a bit emotional in one of my prior clips, and so now my nose is running. God, forgive me. So yes, I switched to sidereal officially in November 2024, and I'm telling you, it was very it it's been very transformative for me. Um, and just again, a little tidbit or to follow through with what I mentioned at the beginning. My main placements in my sidereal chart are Leo Sun, Leo Rising, and Sagittarius Moon. And then my midheaven, which is another major placement, it outlines how I'm seen in the world, how what my values are, and um, how I'm seen in career and stuff. I have a midheaven in Aries. That placement is Aries. And so I'm all fire. And so with someone with so much fire energy as their main 3 or 4 placements, I have a lot that I want to express, and I want to create. I have a lot of creative fire within me, and um I want to burn away what isn't true, and I want to um shed light from that fire that I have. I want to shed light on truth, and I want to express what is true for me, share my gifts and light with the world. But I also, it's easy for someone like me to be very, to be like, intense, or have that intensity, that fiery passion. And you just got to understand that I'm 37, and in August I'll be turning 38, and I'm only in this past, like since last September specifically, I really just, I don't know, things took off, and I've just started doing like active imagination and really going deeper and uncovering certain things and healing and growing. But like I've said, it's been the past 2 years, since 2024 onward, 2.5 years. And so it's easy for me to come across as intense because I have an intensity, but it's also because of someone who has a purpose and a calling and is a very creative, artistic. I have an artistic soul. I have so much I want to share. And largely, like in the role that I have as a housekeeper, it's a great job. It fits me, it suits me and my sensitivities. I have a strength as a housekeeper and as a cleaner. Um, and I have no immediate plans of leaving that job, but it's not my forever home of a job. It's not what my passion is. And so, yeah. So I don't plan to stay with my current full-time job forever. It is something I feel I've carved out a really great thing for myself, and I'm shown that I'm cared for there, that I'm valued there, and it's honestly become something greater than I expected it would be. Um, I don't know if greater is the right word, but it's become a better fit. It's kind of like a perfect fit in so many regards, except the fact that I'm really growing. I've been doing a lot of growth this past year specifically, the past couple years. So there will be a time where I will outgrow it. And either I will, I will come to be able to stand on my own 2 feet and really take off with my small business or my projects and things that I want to do, and hopefully also with a life partner. I my intention is to, be supported by and split, living expenses and share income with a partner, and just build something together. And so that's my intention. I'm not meant to stay small and hidden. And it's very, very common if you've ever heard about different types of star seeds. There's the indigos, the crystals, the rainbows. There's even like diamond and pearl star seeds. One that often doesn't get enough airtime or discussion is Blu-ray beings. I identify very strongly as a Blu-ray, and most Blu-rays came in, I think, during like the late 60s, early 70s, and then mostly they were done coming in to the earth and incarnating by like, you know, I would say early 80s, early to mid 80s. But there are some outliers, and myself and my soul sisters, like my closest friend group, most if not all of them are literally Blu-rays. Um, like I've been able to pick out the traits in them. So yeah, some of us came in like late 80s, and maybe even there's some stragglers potentially in the early 90s, though I'm sure it's less. You know what I mean? More of the people that came 90s onward were like rainbow or crystal. But there are hybrids of star seeds, and I happen to be a Blu-ray, and I also really resonate with the rainbow ray because they are just very vivacious and vibrant internally. They're very like fairy-like, very like tied and connected to the elemental realm and all things magical and like fairies, um, all of it. I'm like thinking all the things, but I don't want to like say everything. Like elves and um, fairies and the elemental kingdom. So yes, I consider myself a Blu-ray being, and I also consider myself to be a hybrid, a Blu-ray rainbow. So yeah, and because of that, I have so much that's been just waiting to be expressed, like untapped potential or untapped energy, untapped everything. Like I'm just this vessel, and I want to express and I want to do what feels good and play, and I just want to create. I just want to travel. I just want to express myself and share what I have to share with the world, and help show others that it's safe to do the same. And this world is becoming safer to be able to do that. One of the last things I'll say to wrap this idea up, this morning, is that it requires us getting to a certain place on our journey, where we are no longer actively in like a constant state of survival mode. When we've healed and balanced ourselves and done some inner work and reparenting to the point where, you know, we know enough about what we have going on and what we're healing from, and we've begun reparenting and mending and building ourselves up and just giving us, pouring that love with into us that we've needed from that we didn't get, And so in order to thrive and to be able to teach and lead, or not even teach and lead, but just in order to do what you're here to do on earth, and to be able to do it consistently and to shine, to really get to that thriving space. And yeah, do whatever it is you're called to do. I think for most people that requires having overcome or traversed survival mode and have come out on the other side, at least for the most part. That doesn't mean that you won't at times find some of that stuff flashing back, or some old stuff might surface here and there. And it's not that we're not meant to experience that, but it's like that when we have new tools and awareness, we can kind of pause when we feel triggered and then meet ourselves where we're at, and we can allow ourselves to feel it and to go through it and to be there and be like, oh wow, this reminds me of how that happened when I was a kid, or this just makes me feel like whatever, just whatever it is, it just makes me feel like that, and naming it and feeling it and allowing it to move through you, but not staying there. That's what's required first. Once we've done that and gotten to that point where we've kind of graduated out, and again, this isn't like a judgmental thing, maybe that wasn't the best word to use, but when I do think it's like a growth journey or process, like we have to overcome certain hurdles, and wherever we're at in life, some people overcome their hurdles in like their late teens, early 20s, and they're just pioneers, and they're like prodigies. They're on their game when they're really young, late teens, early 20s, early to mid 20s, they're already, got businesses and they're doing their thing. Everyone's got a different path. Not everyone's meant to be a business owner or an influencer. I'm just iterating that we have to, um, in order to thrive and be at our best self and apply a lot of psychological and spiritual approaches and tools, like we have to at least begin that inner work and get out of that survival mode before we can, um, be more abundant and be, excuse me, be shine at our best, because I think there's always going to be part of ourselves we're repressing, or that's not coming forth because it's afraid, or um, maybe just we're unconscious of it. We haven't rediscovered it from within us. It could be buried and we might not even know it's there. Aspects of our psyche or our inner child or emotions that we never felt because we had to, basically, it's like soul loss. We cut that part off, and it got lost to the ethers. So I hope some of this has made sense. I've listened to a podcast, one specifically that touched on this was um, the Cosmic Matrix podcast. We can and should, I think we're behooved to call upon Mother, Father, God and ask that we be liberated from anything that is really a struggle for us to work through. And yeah, we're not meant to like do it all on our own. I think the individualistic society, and capitalism and all this stuff, all productivity based, it's like all made us feel like, and then like the patriarchy and the wounding to the feminine, and the feminine had to rise up in their masculine in order to like take their power back, but it's kind of been in the imbalanced feminine, and so everything gender wise, polarity wise, has gotten skewed. um we all have masculine and feminine within us, but in order to individuate and to thrive as the souls and children of God we are here to be, I feel that we should call on Mother, Father, God and ask to be guided through the process, to be supported through individuating and self-actualizing, and identifying where we need to heal and what's needing, what's blocking us and what needs to be processed. Asking for God to hold our hand and support us, and give us, the resources and the loved ones and the support emotionally and in all other ways that we need to get through it. So that was a little bit of a roundabout explanation of what thought I was wanting to articulate. So you'll have to excuse that, but I've never been a quick to the point person. I'm more of a, you know, I guess you could say I'm a little more of the long-winded sort, but that's just how my brain works. But I hope if you like what I'm here discussing and like my energy and what I'm about, that you'll continue to follow along and join me on this journey of podcasting and sharing with you.
Hey, in closing, as an afterthought, listening back to that Going Within Wednesday episode, I wanted to speak to some of it. I also don't know if I fully completed the thought about Blu-rays. For people who aren't familiar, Blu-ray beings often some of their traits are that they often incarnate into really difficult circumstances, really challenging family dynamics, and and really just heavy, difficult things. And so they often have a lot of family trauma or dynamics to heal and grow through. A lot of generational trauma and healing that they are able to do on their family's behalfs. And because of their nature of being highly sensitive empath, much more than just your run-of-the-mill empath, we are prone to that hermit mode and self-protection and preservation, and kind of being, someone who's a little more, much more introverted, not a little, much more introverted. And because of that, they often don't open up and kind of come out of their shell until they're in their 40s or older. And I am turning 38 in August, so I guess I'm kind of on that upward turn. I'm entering this new chapter of my life, this new phase, where that's true for me. I'm definitely following that Blu-ray trajectory. No, trajectory. Goodness, that's funny. Projection and trajectory. I made a new word. I combined them together. So, yeah, from what I've researched and read about Blu-rays is that's the common thing, is like you have to kind of get to a certain point where you're then comfortable speaking what you have to speak and sharing your voice and sharing your truth, and you feel truly called and ready to do so, in some sort of a direct way or a big way, which is very different from like the earlier life, which again is just much more hermit mode. And so I'm right on track. I'm right on cue there, as with regards to what's the common pattern for a Blu-ray being. And so with that, I'm really excited to be doing this. I think I've got a few ideas. I've got a list going for the next episodes that I plan to share. This was my first Going Within Wednesday segment. So the next episode that I share after this one is going to probably be like episode number 2, and it may be the backstory behind the name of the podcast, and discuss, how long I've been, that this podcast and other creative projects potentially tied to it have been in the works. Yeah, we'll start with that. And on that note, I'm really excited to share some of the topics that I have planned, so please stay tuned. Sending you all so much love, and for now, bye-bye. Until next time.